Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach. It is a bright, sunny Sunday morning here in Dallas, Texas. It is April the 18th, 2021, and I appreciate you joining me here as we look at the NBA DFS slate for this beautiful Sunday. Great. We have two independent actual no crossovers. You can play them both on the sites, but two independent slates. We've got an early slate with 3 games that plays this afternoon. And then we have an evening slate with 5 solid games that start at 7 p.m. Eastern with the last game at 10. So, in essence, we're going to get about 12 or 14 straight hours of NBA DFS today, which, basically equals heaven in my book. And on top of that, we have here at DFS Coach Talk, we've also got baseball going today. Our pros, Josh and Tyler, will be following that for you and posting in our Discord throughout the entire day as well. And the final round of the of the RBC Heritage, which will be fun since we have some golf lineups in contention. So as you can see, it is busy here at Coach Talk, and we'd love to have you join us if you're looking for a 3-day pass, even just to test us out. That's only $10, and you can sign up with us at dfscoachtalk.com. So check us out there. All right, let's dive right into this slate. No time here to mess around. We want to get this posted this morning so everybody has a chance to check it out before the early slate starts. The first 2 games both start at 1 p.m. Eastern. The first one is Indiana at Atlanta. Indiana's on the first night of a back-to-back, and the line on the game is Atlanta minus 3.5 and the big fat 234.5 total. So we've got one big total on the morning slate and one the exact same 234.5 on the main slate. As far as pace goes, Indiana is 6th, so we know they're going to get up and down the court. And Atlanta is 23rd. They certainly have slowed it down since Nate McMillan took over the team. They're playing better, but they have slowed it down and try to control the ball and get less turnovers, which hasn't made their games quite as palatable as they were prior to, when they were just running and gunning and not defending very well. Defensive team efficiency, we have Indiana at 12 and Atlanta at 21. So good total, a lot of shots get up here. There are still quite a few guys that are out. We've got a couple questionables that are important for Indiana. A rotation player, sometimes off the bench, sometimes starting, as McDermott. He's questionable. And Miles Turner, the center, is questionable, which is also an important piece of news. Atlanta has Gallo out, and Collins is questionable. So we need to know if he's going to play, because he's been out for quite some time, but he was listed today as questionable. So either he makes his return today or in the next game. So it will be important to know, especially for the interior players for Atlanta. They do have that same group out now for quite a while: Dunn, Reddish, Snell, and Hunter. None of those guys are back. So we know their rotation. We know we're going to get a lot out of Trey and Bogey and a little bit of Herter. Capella's been playing some good ball. But, let's see if Collins is back in the mix here, because if not, it does open up some value on this team that is interesting. I mean, Solomon Hill actually had a really good game the last time out. He would become an option. Kevin Herter becomes more in play as well. So, follow the news on this one. It's going to be high scoring as we anticipate. And as far as what I'm looking at here, we're without question, Trey is not a good defender. So I think Brogdon, it brings him directly into play. And I also think Karis LeVert is really in play here. If they had Snell or Hunter or somebody that could defend him, that it'd be one thing. But trying to guard him with Herter or Bogey or someone is not very conducive here. So LeVert really, I think, could step up and have a real solid game. And Brogdon's not out of the question either. Not really wanting to spend up to Sabonis. If Turner is out again, Sabonis is dangerous, though, because his rebound ratio, block shots, things of that nature do increase with Turner off the floor. So, with Turner out, he's a slight consideration. He is expensive, but if Turner's in, then I'll move on from there. So we do need that information. On the Atlanta side, Brogdon's pretty strong defensively. LeVert, I would say, is average. He's decent. So, in looking at that backcourt, Bogey's so priced up now, it makes it very difficult. But even with the price up last game, he completely smashed. So, I think they both can be in consideration here. I'm probably not going to go Young because of the price and Brogdon defense and McConnell defense off the bench. He's a real pest out there defensively. As far as the bigs go, Capella's a solid play because he does eat rebounds for breakfast. Man, that dude just rebounds everything. The cost is a little high. There are some value big men in this morning group, but not sure I want to go there at that price. But I don't think he's a bad play at all. Even if Collins is in, not going to play him. Sure, he's going to be on a minutes restriction probably the next 3 or 4 games. And off the bench, if we do get Collins still out, and we'll see who else gets plugged into that starting role. If it is Solomon Hill, he is still dirt cheap and he still gets to his number. But it is only a 3-game morning slate or afternoon slate, so don't know you have to go that deep, but definitely need some coverage from this game. I certainly will. Could have a few strong plays in here, specifically LeVert and even possibly Sabonis. So let's see how this one plays out with this news this morning. I'll be updating my recommendations and lineups in our Discord throughout the morning here as news breaks. Again, to jump in with us, just go to dfscoachtalk.com, and then you're getting all the updates throughout the day, both in all our sports, basketball, baseball, and golf right now. We also cover football, obviously, in the fall. But love to have you. Come check us out, and we will take it from there. So, all right, let's move on to game 2. We've got, it's also a 1 p.m. game. It's the New York Knicks hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. It is the Knicks by 1.5, and the over-under is 219. We've got, from a pace standpoint, Pelicans 14th, right in the middle of the pack, and we know the Knicks are dead last, slowest team, half court, grind it out, get the ball to Randall, and try to just get something on the interior or a step back 3. That's basically their offense, but it works, and they're winning some games, so you can't blame them. As far as defense goes, the Pelicans are 28th, so definitely something the Knicks can attack. Knicks are all the way up to 3rd, so a little bit of a difficult game for the Pels in this go-around. So 2 different teams. One's a little faster with bad defense, and then one has decent defense, but little speedier. So you got the 2 ends of the coin here to determine which way you want to go. As far as injuries go on the Pelicans, Jackson Hayes is probable. And then that you've got still out is Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Josh Hart, both still out hurt. Lonzo did come back the last game. He's not on the injury report today. As far as the Knicks go, Alec Burks is out, which is a big loss for them. He's one of their key players down the stretch of games, close games. And we know Mitch Rob's going to be out for quite some time. So what do we think of this game? It's of the three games this afternoon, it's probably my least favorite of the three. But, I still think there's some one-offs here that can be a little bit dangerous. I like the fact that it is a pace-up game for the Knicks. Every game is, but it's massively from 30th they are to 14th for the Knicks. Or for the Pelicans. So it is definitely going to be some increased possessions for them. The big Zion Williamson versus Julius Randle battle here is what's going to get all of the spotlight. They very well could guard each other, and that could be fun to watch. Two intense finishers at the rim, and man, you talk about two big, huge bodies colliding with some serious punch there. They definitely will be doing that. They're both incredibly expensive, and I just don't think this is the perfect spot for them today. Even on a 3-game slate, I think you can still take this down without those two guys. And by not spending up for them, which a lot of people will spend up for both of them or at least one, it does open your possibilities for how you want to make your build for this 3-game slate. So I'm going to steer clear of those two guys. I think Ingram and Barrett are decent in this spot. I think they can cause some trouble here on both sides of the ball. Definitely in consideration there. That Ingram's coming off a good game. So is Barrett, hit some big shots down the stretch. So those two guys are in my initial player pool. I'm definitely going to consider them. After that, the guy that interests me a little bit, it was a complete split recently after Mitch Rob got hurt with Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson, but Noel was dinged up a little bit. Prior to that, when about 3 weeks ago or so, when Mitch first went out, it was pretty much Nerlens Noel playing mid-30s to low 30s minutes. So I think that he gets a little bit more run here than he had because he's healthy again. And he is a good value center that should have an opportunity to get a decent amount of rebounds, some putbacks, some blocks, that kind of thing. He'll certainly be helping out on Zion, and Zion, as awesome as he is, if he's not dunking it, he is susceptible to the block, especially from the help side. So Noel's definitely on my radar, which I think he's going to be pretty low owned, contrarian kind of play, and hopefully we get 30 minutes out of him that we really need for him to smash his number. Other than that, though, Lonzo is not quite 100% yet. They don't have a lot of depth, though. So, Lewis Jr. is getting quite a few minutes off the bench. But as far as who I trust in this one, it really comes down to Ingram, Barrett, Noel, and then, hopefully don't have to go much deeper. I mean, who's going to take Alec Burks' minutes and key minutes? It could be a combination, of Rose quickly and even Bullock. So even with him out, it doesn't make me comfortable with that Knicks backcourt that is just overloaded. Okay, let's go to the third and final game for this early slate today, the afternoon slate. It is at 3:30 Eastern. It is Brooklyn at Miami. Miami's on the first night of a back-to-back. We've got the Brooklyn Nets as a 6.5 point favorite, and the over-under at 222.5. From a pace standpoint, nothing to write home about here. Brooklyn is 13th, which is reasonable. And Miami's only 28th. So again, they want the half court set. They want to slow it down. Defensive efficiency, Brooklyn's up to 20th, which, considering they were 28 there for a while and giving up historical numbers, it has adjusted a bit. So that's something to notice. It's not as easy of attacking Brooklyn on slates as it was a month ago. Miami is up to 6th, which again, I mention it a lot, but I think it's amazing that they were in the low 20s, 21, 22 for quite some time when they had half the team out with COVID situation. But now that they've gotten their feet under them, they got everybody back, they got a rotation going, they've been terrific. So they're all the way up to 6. So that is a concern. Brooklyn's usually such an easy plug and play guys from there. But I don't think it's as apparent against a team like Miami in Miami. That's a tougher place to play. As far as Brooklyn goes, injury-wise, still no Harden, still no Tyler Johnson or Chiozza. So those guys have been out. They do have Irving and Durant playing, and so that should, even things out a little bit as far as distribution of the ball there. They're both playing phenomenal basketball. Really going to be a tough team when they get everybody back. The big news on the Miami side, for sure, is Jimmy Butler is questionable. And that is a game changer if he's questionable. It really affects them defensively, and offensively, it brings guys very strongly into play if he sits. Also for the Heat, Iguodala is questionable, and Gabe Vincent, who's gets very few minutes in that guard rotation, is also questionable. The only player out for Miami is Oladipo. We know he's going to be out for a while. So, unfortunately, we need this Butler news. We probably won't have it as the first 2 games go off. So here's the issue. You got to look at this when you're building. If you want to put Butler in that lineup, you may have to have a 2v2 ready to switch if he's ruled out. And if he's ruled out, then, put yourself in a position where you can take him out and put in a Durant or whoever it is, and then make sure the salary's matched up with whoever else you want to roster here in this game, so that you have, you don't just have to take a huge decrease if you pull Butler out, but it can make the numbers work for you. So whether you put him in or out, and also it goes the other way. If you want to, roster a Durant and then Butler's ruled in, you want to go to Butler, you can do that, but you may have to have a secondary piece there that also is a swap. So, whether it's a Trevor Ariza, or a Joe Harris, someone like that can make that second pricing fit. That's the way that I plan on going. So I do want exposure to this game. I think if Butler plays, he'll be super low owned because of the game time decision questionable tag. I don't know if a lot of people will plan enough ahead. So I think we can get him if is going to play at a super low ownership, and he could be terrific. So I'm going to keep those options open. For me, I don't want to roster both Kyrie and Durant, although, I hesitate to do that when it's 2 stars because, you're sort of playing against yourself a little bit. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, and I ended up being able to fit both Westbrook and Beal in there, and it worked. It was great. Now, it was a really good situation. I'm not sure this situation is quite as outstanding as that one. However, it's something to consider. I don't think it's just a dead mistake to play both. I'm not going to go there with this matchup with the Heat's defense, but I think playing either Kyrie or Kevin is a good move. I can see that, as part of a build that's important. As far as the bigs go on the Brooklyn side, Jeff Green and Jordan. Then you've got Claxton, of course, and a little Blake Griffin in there. So there's still a rotation, even with Aldridge retired. And it's a little inconsistent. And the price is good, I get it, but it's just on a 3-game slate when you're competing for some GPPs that you're single entries that you're trying to take down. If you do play a Claxton or Durant or Griffin and they put up 10, 12 DFS points for the game, man, it's hard to make up the ground there. You need a guy to at least chip in a good 20, even at a smaller salary. So that's, I'm trying to avoid those low numbers as best I can, even if I have to sacrifice paying way up for someone and go with 2 higher tier, but affordable enough that you can get them in there. So I do like, some guys here. I think Ariza is a good value. Again, like I said, Irving, Durant, one or the other, not going with the bigs there. Is Bam in play here? I mean, he certainly is, because a lot of times Brooklyn will play smaller with a Green or Griffin at center. I think Bam, could be a difference maker in this game, specifically if Butler's out. If Butler's out, there's some usage that goes to Bam that will be helpful. You'll also see some other guys affected in a positive manner with Nunn, Dragic, Hero, all increase with their DFS potential and numbers with Butler out. So it affects those guys in a positive way more than it does Bam. Sometimes Butler creates a lot of stuff for Bam as well. But if Butler's out, there's a very good chance Bam could be my center on this slate, just for the additional usage, the pace that Brooklyn plays at, and the potential that gives Bam. And it's not like Bam has to go against one of the big, giant, stocky built guys like Jokic or Valanciunas or Embiid. Going against Jordan, he's not what he used to be. He's not the defender he was at all. Claxton, a smaller guy, and then, like I said, the other, 2, Green and Griffin, are really forward. So I think it sets up for a good game from Bam. He is my favorite from this game. And then I need to see if Butler's playing to determine if I'd go with Irving or Durant. So I will spend some salary in this one. I think there's different bits and pieces of value here. And then, of course, we'll get the news as time goes on. We'll have all the news for Indiana, Atlanta, New Orleans, New York. So we'll be able to set that up. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll make sure, to have at least a 2v1 where there's some switches that we can make determined on expecting not to have the Butler news for the original lock. So, all right, sip of coffee, and then we're going to attack this evening main 5-game slate. All right. Refreshed and ready to go. Okay, first game on the board. It is the Portland Trail Blazers at the Charlotte Hornets. Portland is -5 on the road. Nice, decent 221 number. As far as pace, Houston 5th in the league, Orlando 20th. Of course, those numbers for every number for Orlando is skewed because they have a completely different team out there, literally all 5 guys. And then here's the thing that excites me about this game and has me very interested. Houston's 25th, Orlando's 26th in defense. So, with Houston's pace, with only a 1-point spread here, or I'm sorry, I skipped over it. But erase that. It's Portland -5 against Charlotte at 221. We've got the pace of Portland 19, Charlotte 17, and defense, Portland 29th, Charlotte 18th. Lillard is out. So there's the news that we needed to know. So great to have this news. in the morning when you're preparing and not have to figure what's going on. And then the Charlotte side, we have two really important guys, both listed questionable. That's PJ Washington and Devontae Graham. So very interesting here. I think that that news is going to be extremely important. Neither team's very good defensively, but they're both below average in pace. You would think Portland was faster, but they are not. And then without Lillard, it puts in a whole different element. It does open up an enormous amount of usage. And I think CJ McCollum's the first guy you have to look at. I think he's a solid play today. He's going to be the go-to guy. He's going to, be the man to get all the big buckets. So he's going to be chalk, but he may be worth eating chalk on this play for sure. Then as Nurkic at center, I think is playable, even though he's still splitting some time with Canner. He is getting more and more minutes, and Charlotte is really struggling at the center position with Washington being dinged up. You're getting a little bit of Miles Bridges playing there in the clutch, which he's undersized, and then you're getting some Zeller and Biyombo, which isn't really anything to write home about at center. So I think Nurkic has a good opportunity here to get it done. Also, Covington, not a bad play here. He's been consistent. He is a minutes eater, and he does get a lot of opportunities. Norman Powell, who's been a really good third guy in with Lillard and McCollum. And with him getting to play that second spot, if you want to pivot specifically from McCollum, I think Powell's a great play. His price is better, and he can put up some big numbers. I think he was a great addition for them, especially when either Lillard or McCollum sit, then he can step right up and be that second guy. So I don't think I'm going to stack McCollum and Powell, but certainly looking to go either with the chalk on McCollum or the secondary play, which I think could be a terrific one in Norman Powell. On the Charlotte side, with Graham questionable and Washington questionable and all those guys still out, it really is the Terry Rozier show here. I don't see how I could get away from him today if Graham's out, because Portland's defense in the backcourt is poor, and I think this game sets up for 25 shots for Rozier if he wants them. He's been playing well, some monster dunks, and really playing hard. So I think he's in play. I think, as you noticed, Miles Bridges has been good. We've had him in there for some good games, but he's going to get Covington defense, so I'm going to steer clear there. McDaniels is certainly playable. He gets a lot of rebounds, especially when they're shorthanded at the bigs. He's not a breakout guy just yet, but he's very solid. He's in that whole Pat Williams kind of mode where he's going to get his minutes, he's going to get some stats, and he's not a super high ceiling, but not a super low floor either, because he's going to get his run. After that, the Martin brothers and all those guys, they're definitely dangerous, but they're both playing, and it makes it very difficult to determine which one's going to have a stronger role. So don't want to gamble there just yet until that, shakes out as all these guys remain out for Charlotte. So to wrap that up, it is, I'm looking at either McCollum or Powell. We'll consider possibly a Nurkic as a low-owned center. Rozier is a lock and load, one of my favorite plays on the slate, backed up by a little bit of McDaniels if I need the value at that spot. All right. Next game on the docket here, we have Houston at Orlando. And this is a game I was trying to run to because I like this game. It is Orlando -1, 221 total, and Houston first night of a back-to-back. Houston's 5th in pace, Orlando 20th. So good pace up game for them. And then here's what I was saying before. What I love, they're 25th and 26th defensively. So yeah, you've heard that twice now. So maybe it's that important. This is a good game. I like this game. I think it's going to go lower owned than some of the other big games. There's certainly games. There's 2 games 13 points higher than this on the over/under. It just seems like a lot of opportunity here. Wall, Augustine, and Brown are out for Houston. MCW Porter out for Orlando, and Bamba questionable. Here are the guys I think that are super playable: Kevin Porter Jr., Kelly Olynyk, and Christian Wood. Those are the 3 guys I'm looking at Houston very seriously. And then on the Orlando side, I think that, as far as who stepped up, Cole Anthony, now that MCW is down and he's back, full tilt here, he's been pretty darn good. I mean, he's splitting time with a few guys, but he is won back his job at point, and at his price, I think he's a decent value. Gary Harris, good defender, not as crazy about him in this spot. Chumo Kiki is back and healthy after he was out and then limited a little bit. He gets my interest a little bit because I think he gets a decent run. Not looking at Ennis with Tate defense or Carter with Wood defense. So this is going to be more of, the potential of 2 or 3 guys from Houston and then a possible one-off for Orlando. But I do like the game. I think it's going to be higher scoring than a lot of people think. All right, game 3. You have the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Toronto Raptors, OKC on the first night of a back-to-back. We have a big spread here. I think Vegas has thrown in the towel on the Thunder. They're starting to get smashed a little bit. They were hanging in there with 20 wins for a long time, but, now it's catching up with all the young guys and all the guys out and retired and everything else. So Toronto's an 11.5-point favorite, which is pretty darn big number. But the Toronto does have the potential to have a lot of their guns back. We don't know if they'll all be back, but it's possible. So it's Toronto 11.5, 218.5 on the over/under. As far as pace goes, 2 quick pace teams, 8th and 12th respectively. Defensively, the Thunder all the way down to 23, and Toronto's 11th. So both teams on the bad side of defense recently. The news for Oklahoma City, they seem to just be rotating like 4 guys to sit. I mean, it's really like an extended G League experience for all these young guys. I think by design. I don't think they want to make the playoffs or anticipate that they are. I think they want to get these young guys some experience and then start using all of these, minutes that they have, to spread out amongst everybody. They got rid of, Horford retiring and all these things going on is opening that up. And then this is, this season in the draft, they're going to have a boatload of picks, as they will over the next 5 to 7 years. They have so many picks. It's crazy, but they'll rebuild, and they're in the process of that. There's no secret to it. But are there any diamonds in here that we can choose with some of these guys out is the question. Hall, Poku, Muscala, Deck, all out. And then for Toronto, Van Vliet and Trent are questionable, 2 starters. So we need that news big time for Toronto. Right now, Lowry's in there. So Lowry's playing. There's no Van Vliet or Trent. I think you got to play Lowry. Just process of elimination there. If they play, then, you have some options. There's going to be some split usage. You can look at, I would say, Trent being a decent option. But let's see how these guys do this afternoon and see if they're in or out. For the Thunder, I think, Dort is a fine play. Baisley looked phenomenal the last game. He's a decent play. You can go to a Moses Brown here, I think, and feel fairly good about it. And then on the other side of the ball, the two bigs, Boucher and Birch, also get some look for me. So I really like some of these matchups. I definitely am going to have some exposure here. I think this will be one of the games is somewhat ignored, but you can get consider Maladon. Not probably going to go that way because I do like Lowry defense, but Dort, Baisley, and even Brown, I think, are somewhat in play. Only fear with Brown is he is splitting a lot of time with Bradley, so something to be concerned about with him. And then on the Toronto side, like I said, we need that news. If Van Vliet or Trent are in, or if both are in, I probably won't go to any of those guards because I think there'll be a good split. If they're out, then Lowry's directly in play. And I'm going to look at the Boucher and Birch thing here quite a bit. I expect them both to get really decent minutes, and playing on the floor together looked pretty decent. So one or the other could definitely dent my lineup. All right, 3 games left. We've got the third 7 o'clock game, and that's Portland and Charlotte. Right now, we've got, let's see here, Portland -5, and it's a 221 total. Pace 19th and 17th, so nothing to write home about there. And defensive efficiency, Portland 29th, not good. Only Sacramento is worse, and Charlotte is 18th. As far as injuries, the big news, obviously, Lillard is out. So we went over this game already. That's right, we did. So let's skip down again. McCollum or Powell there is the play. So I don't know why I'm getting screwed up on my games are not in order on my sheet as they are on the board here. So let's jump down. That's the 3 7 o'clock games. So we've got 2 games left: 7:30 Sacramento Dallas, and 10 o'clock Minnesota Clippers. So sorry, I'm a little tired and groggy late night and then preparing this morning. Hey, at least I didn't skip a game. If I do a game twice, which I've done 2 games a little bit twice, maybe that means something. We got to listen to those numbers twice and go after it. All right, 7:30 Sacramento Dallas. Dallas -8, 228.5. We've got pace of 9 for Sacramento, 26 for the slow Mavericks. Defensive efficiency, the aforementioned Sacramento 30th and Dallas 17th. So not great defense, should get up and down here. The 2 best bigs for Sacramento are out. Bagley remains out. He's been out a while, but Holmes is out. And you know that we like to attack the Mavericks with bigs, but having Holmes out makes it a little bit head scratcher because Damian Jones is penciled in to start. Definitely not going to use him. But I think Whiteside could really hurt the Mavericks on the interior. Whiteside is in play for me. The fear of minutes, you never know what Walton's going to do. You never know if Whiteside's going to have one of those smash games or one of the games he's, shacked in the full a couple of times. So hard to pin your hopes on Whiteside to bring into the promised land with a lineup, but he may be one of the best center plays. So need to determine that for sure. That'll be a big piece of my decision process, as I look at this afternoon. De'Aaron Fox has been just otherworldly. I think that he'll get Josh Richardson defense that could, slow him down slightly, but you don't slow down Fox. He's pretty much going to do what he wants to do. But the Dallas case sort of takes away me wanting to spend that big bucks on Fox. So don't know if I'll go there. Buddy Hield's a decent play. I think he probably gets Luka defense, which is okay. He's been shooting the ball really well. Certainly a guy to consider. Harrison Barnes, he's good ex-Mav. He played here. He's solid. He's playing well. He gets a lot of the scrap stuff. They run a few things for him. In clutch time, he gets all the minutes. So I think Barnes, even though his price isn't exactly where I think it should be, I think is in play for Sacramento as well. As far as Dallas trying to take advantage of this terrible Sacramento defense, I would look at, you know, a possibility of paying up for Luka. It's just so painful at that price because, you really do have to sweat him out to get to 5x, which isn't great. I mean, if he gets you there, but at his price, can you afford not to have those numbers? So, I hate to say it, but it is an island game for both teams, and I am leaning towards Luka. And I was going to try to steer clear of Dallas as much as I could recently because they have shared the ball more, and they're playing slow. But man, the 30th paced or the 30th team defensively that plays at a pretty fast pace in the top 10, and you've got Dallas needing the victory. Luka Magic, maybe. I think it might be a Luka Magic night. And, I don't like how that straps my salary, but it may be tough to avoid. After that, I'm not really high on the Porzingis play. I think Whiteside's a fine rim protector when he's in there. I think Porzingis can get his, but his inconsistency and the rotation with Dallas is just a little shaky there. So that's it. I think not that I expected it, but I think it may be a Luka day for me. All right, last game on the slate, Minnesota and the Clippers. It is truly the late night slate game. It is not until 10 o'clock. So there's a 2.5 hour time frame. So in essence, the entire NBA slate will be over just waiting on this Minnesota Clippers game. So, and guess what? This is the other 234.5 game on the slate. There was one in the morning, 3-gamer, and this one on the afternoon slate is going to be something. So, wow, it's the Clippers by 8.5. It's 234.5. We've got Minnesota, the third pace team, which is new, music to the ears of Clippers guys. Clippers are 27th, so pace down quite a bit for Minnesota. Defensively, we know Minnesota's right there at the bottom with Sacramento. They're 27th, so they're right there. Not better than very many teams at all. Clippers are 10th, which is very solid. But, we need news. We've got Noel doubtful and Beasley out for Minnesota. So we know we're dealing with basically Rubio and their D'Angelo Russell playing the point. Edwards, Okogie, McDaniels, Towns. We know their rotation. They'll bring Reed and Hernan Gomez off the bench. So Minnesota at least has a set rotation now, which they hadn't had in a while. And then the biggest stuff is going to come with the Clippers because it's Kawhi. We don't know if Kawhi is playing or not. He's questionable. Same thing with the newly acquired Yogi Ferrell. Will he play and get some of those minutes in the backcourt? We do know that Pat Bev and Ibaka remain out. So, it does create some openings. Now, I'm a little concerned with Reggie Jackson because I do think Yogi probably plays and scoops a few minutes from him, which makes him on the less likely to play list for me. I think that Paul George, probably the best play on the slate if Kawhi sits. He gets, he may get a Okogie defense. Okogie's not bad, but, the usage rate and just all the statistics go up for George with Kawhi out. I mean, he's the go-to guy for sure. So I really like the potential there. Edwards will probably get George defense, which takes him down just a notch. The other McDaniels, and I've been playing both McDaniels here and there because of their price. I think he's in a good spot again here. He's getting minutes. He's an adept rebounder. He can score the ball, and I think needs to be at least considered. Cat's been on a roll, man. He's playing some good ball. I don't want to pay that price for him here against a very, proficient defense in the Clippers. Certainly not as good defensively without Kawhi, but they're still a very good defensive team. So not going to go Cat. Marcus Morris Sr., I mean, he's been so good and steady at his price. Hard not to play him with Kawhi out. So really for me on the Clippers side, it's all about Paul George and some Marcus Morris. After that, let's see if Kawhi sits to see if anybody else like Kennard comes into play. D'Angelo Russell's getting close to being a guy to roster. He's been on that 25 to 28 minute list. I need to see that updated news today. If he's over 30 minutes, if he can play 30 to 35, then he is on my radar because he is just a dead scorer. And the Clippers in the backcourt certainly aren't the same defensive team without Pat Bev in there. So want to keep in touch with that news to see how that shakes out as well. All right, that is it. That's 8 games, 3 in the afternoon, 5 in the evening main slate. And if you want to join us here at DFS Coach Talk, you can join us a couple different ways. You can go to our website at dfscoachtalk.com, sign up there for as little as 3 days or up to a year membership, whatever you'd like to dive in with. We will get a notification and send you a Discord invite. You'll be in there in 5 minutes. If you want to take advantage of our partners, betus.com.pa, go to that website. If you're a first-time depositor, you put in $149, you get a free membership at DFS Coach Talk all the way until June 1st. So you get to use your $149 on the betus.com.pa site to bet on whatever sports or props you want to play. And then you get that free full access pass with us until the 1st of June. So if you want to join that way, either way, we'd love to have you. You can follow us for basketball specifically. You can follow me at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi, and Andrew is at Language Olympic. We will be tweeting some things out, some top plays, etc. And then again, if you're MLB guy, we'll have Josh and Tyler all over that today. They'll be putting out that information. And then tomorrow we'll be back at it. Andrew and I will be doing the NBA podcast. So we do offer this NBA podcast in front of the paywall 7 days a week. All that we ask is that you take a quick second, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button, and the little alert button up in the corner. It will let you know when any of our podcasts post. And if you're watching on YouTube, really important, our biggest ask, I waited till the end. Hopefully people are still listening. Just hit that thumbs up real quick. Hit the subscribe button. If you do that, that really makes a difference for us. And, I wanted to repeat that because it is important. We're getting close to some of our goals that are really going to help us get more exposure and get out there. If you're listening to us audio-wise on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, we're everywhere podcasts can be heard. Take a second, give us a 5-star, a thumbs up, give a little, 2 or 3 words, love the show, whatever. That all means a lot to us as well. And it does move us up in the algorithms in those podcast places that supply it, and on YouTube as well. So we really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys listening in. Pretty long show today, but 2 really good slates, I think, that can be impactful. And it's going to be all about the NBA here at Coach Talk today. So have a great Sunday with family, friends. I hope that the weather's good where you are and that you can enjoy a little break outside in between these awesome basketball games. So sounds great. Appreciate you. Join us at DFS Coach Talk, and we'll see you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.